Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace back at you. It's been a long weekend, a very fulfilling weekend. Those of you who haven't been keeping up with the activity on my page or following me, uh, I married the woman of my dreams on Sunday. So it's been a very fulfilling week. But if I tell you Murphy showed up, if you're familiar with Murphy's Law, Murphy showed up every chance an opportunity there was to throw a wrench in the plans. But at the end of the day, the thing that mattered the most to me was taken care of. And so I'm grateful for that. I want to be somewhat succinct in talking with you this morning. Obviously, there's a lot for me to get caught up on. Been sort of out of pocket since Friday. But when I sit up and I think, I posted something this morning on my Facebook page that simply said that a heart of gratitude is essential to living life at its fullest. And I'm a firm believer that actually gratitude is probably the most beneficial emotion of them all. Gratitude helps you center your perspective. It helps you get the right view on what's important in life. It sets the stage and the perspective through which you will view everything that takes place in a given period of time, whether that's an hour, a day, a week, a month. You know, my goal every day is to wake up with a heart of gratitude, with a mind that is centered on being grateful. Now, one thing I'll tell you is I am not a person that when the people, well, I'm thankful and I'm grateful for the hardships and the pain. I'm not thankful and grateful for the hardships and pains. What I'm thankful and grateful for is that I'm built for it, that I've been prepared to deal with it, that it can't destroy me. I'm grateful because by the time this difficulty reaches me, I'm built for it. I'm ready to engage it. It doesn't have the capacity to take me out. That's what I'm grateful. I'm grateful that when I come out of the storm, I'll be a better man than when I went in. Those are the things that I'm genuinely grateful for. And this heart of gratitude, it's powerful because you got to remember, while we talk a lot about the law of attraction, we talk a lot about the movement of the universe and how the universe and the world responds to the energy we emit. There is no greater influencer of your energy than gratitude. When you have gratitude, gratitude is hard to interrupt with negativity. When you have authentic gratitude, it sets the stage for everything else. See, gratitude acknowledges what's possible. Gratitude is positive in a sense of thanksgiving. It's positive in a sense of appreciation. It's positive in a sense of acknowledgement of what's possible. In other words, my gratitude is not just focused on what I've accomplished, what I've done, what I have. It's also focused on what I have the capacity to do and have. It's focused on those things that await me in the future that are positive and beneficial, not only to me, but to all of those I come in contact with, those I have been given the charge of protecting, covering, and providing for, as well as those I've been given the responsibility of empowering. So when I have a heart of gratitude, it extends beyond the moment. It extends beyond those things that I've experienced in the past. It also anticipates those things that are yet to come. And that gratitude creates this natural energy that actually influences any other energy I may want to create through any other emotion. It helps me manage and control my anger. It helps me manage and control what other people may perceive as fear. It helps me activate my fear. I talk about this all the time. I don't experience fear in the way other people experience fear. So I don't call it fear. When people ask me, I say, I don't deal with fear. I don't have fear. Why? Because I have taught myself to be immediately responsive to that uneasy feeling that most people call fear. And so I take action on the first indication of that uneasy feeling arising. I immediately take action. I don't give myself a chance to analyze it. I don't give myself a chance to sit up and go through it and find out why. Because see, fear is going to give you a bunch of reasons to quit, to stop, to take the easy route, to back up. I don't even want to analyze it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want my logic to get a hold to it, because that's one place I don't want to use logic, because fear will cripple and paralyze you. And so what I do is I take action. What I've learned and experienced in my time is that when I take action, it may not always be the best move. It may be something that I need to deal with later, but I can always correct the action. I can always adjust the action. I can always come back and tweak the action. But if I allow fear to set in, it's hard to overcome inactivity. It's hard to overcome being paralyzed. It's hard to get past it once you allow it to take hold. I've trained myself to engage and attack fear. And so that's why I say that. But that heart of gratitude sets all of that up. It puts me constantly in a mindset of why I'm here. I'm grateful for having the opportunity, the gift, and the capacity to impact the lives of other people in a number of different ways. While I have my hands in a number of different endeavors, in business, in community, in social engagement, it's all tied around helping people become more effective in their lives, helping people find their strength, their power, their place. And that's important to me. And so I strengthen those areas that I can use in order to accomplish this. And so I have my hands in a lot of different things, but it's all centered around my ability to communicate the principles of power. And so one of the things I want to talk to you guys about today is the destructive force of unbelief. Unbelief, I consider to be a disability. I consider it to be literally something that negates, diminishes, and holds hostage your natural gifts, your capacity, and your ability to go out and do exceptional and extraordinary things. Unbelief will literally lock you into a life of mediocrity. It is one of the most devastating disabilities known to man. It locks you in at the level of your belief, and unbelief consistently, this is what most people don't realize, unbelief is actually a dynamic in the same way that faith is a dynamic. Faith is a dynamic that pushes you towards things that help to empower, elevate, increase your level of existence, while unbelief is a dynamic that consistently diminishes your belief system. It consistently diminishes your capacity, your range, your reach. And it puts you in this ever constricting and decreasing box that will literally at some point choke the life out of you. You've got to learn how to address unbelief. One thing that I see with unbelief is that people have a tendency to judge life and to interpret life situations based on historical perspectives connected to their memory. We have a tendency to look back in life and see what has happened to us to this point. And we see all the times that this thing came about and we ended up in an unfavorable position, or it turned out to be an unfavorable outcome. And so we are judging a circumstance that looks similar based on historical perspectives. But so ultimately what you're doing is you're basing your interpretation of a current situation based on your memory. What I would like to introduce you to is the power of the mind. And what do I mean by that? I don't base my current situation, or I don't interpret my current situation based on any past experiences except positive ones. Remember, I told you in the past, I've learned how to learn from my failures, and then I'm like a cornerback in the NFL. If I get beat, I learn from the failure of being beaten, then I forget it. I have to have a very short memory with the negative stuff. I deal with it and I get it behind me, because if I hold on to it, it begins to fester. It begins to compete with the memories of success and the ideas of success. And that's what I need in my mind. So I create an imbalanced reality by getting rid of the failures as fast as I possibly can. They're there when I need to reference them. If I want to witness to somebody or share with somebody what's possible, I can go get them. But other than that, I don't need them in my life. They have no purpose once I learn from them. I learn from my mistakes. I put them aside. I've got the learn part tucked away. It's now a part of my excuse me, it's now a part of my arsenal. So now I step out and I function in life with the new learned lessons, the new capacity. I'm better prepared, but I leave the negative feelings, the negative idea, and the negative energy associated with the failure behind. So I'm already in a diminished capacity of negative energy, so I'm good with that. But also, this is what I do. I use my imagination, because remember, what the mind can conceive, you have the capacity within your design and your gift and your genius to achieve. There's nothing that will ever come into your mind that is good, that you cannot have, that you cannot go after. The way that you are created, the way that the universe has been set up, the way the Almighty Creator created things was that He created the mind. And remember, your mind is only functioning, the average person, their mind is only functioning at 10% capacity. So that's so much more the mind has to offer you, but you've been caught in this world of competing with negative energy and negative ideas based on past experiences. Instead of using your memory, I encourage you to use your imagination. Imagine what is possible based on what you can conceive in your mind. Allow your imagination to create your future. Allow your imagination to write your narrative. Allow your imagination to set you up and give you a vision of what's possible in your life, and you go with the imagination. Stop using your memory to interpret your current circumstance. Because see, your memory will tell you this is everything that's happened to you. This is always what happens when this comes up in your life. And when you take that mindset that, man, every time this has come up, I've gotten mollywopped, I've gotten beat, I've gotten torn down, I've got stepped on, this is what's going to happen again, you immediately create the negative energy that makes that true. But when you look at something and you say, I'm built for this. When you look at something, you say, I have the idea, the strength, the intellectual capacity, the gifting and the genius to approach this situation and overcome it. It's not going to be comfortable. I'm going to have to push through. It's going to be some difficult moments, but I am built for this. Why? Because I can see myself in my future self based on my imagination. My vision gives me an image of what's to come. I'm living in the future tense in what I will be while I'm operating and functioning in my current situation. My vision gives me the courage, the strength, and the belief that what I'm dealing with is temporary. I don't mess around with unbelief. I believe that if I can conceive it in my mind, I believe that if I can sit up and write it out in my mind, if I can imagine it, I can have it. And that's where I live. I live in the setup of my imagination. I let my mind write my narrative. I'm not listening to the negative naysayers. I'm not listening to people who tell me that I'm not being realistic. I'm not listening to people who are telling me that it's impossible. I think it was Muhammad Ali, and I may not get this quote right, but Muhammad Ali said, impossible is just this small word. No, the impossible is just a word that's thrown out by small men who would rather engage the idea of impossibility than to step out and live life to its fullest. And that's what it is. Impossibility is other people's reality imposed upon others. And it becomes this energy that tells people they can't. I don't accept impossibility. I accept the fact that if I set my mind to it, and I believe that it's possible, I can do it. There's nothing in this world that if I can conceive it in my mind, or if anybody else has done it, that I can't do. And that's the belief system I operate on. I operate on what I call audacious faith in my design. I dare to think beyond what is normal and average. I dare to believe that I can do the impossible. I dare to believe that I can live life at an elevated level and that I can continue to climb level by level throughout this life until I take my last breath. I live in a belief system that does not acknowledge impossibility. And I can tell you that while I have my difficulties, while I run into circumstances, while I get knocked down at times and kicked, there is no time that I have not been able in my life to pick myself up, dust myself off, smile because I know what's coming, and get back at it. No, I'm not smiling because I love difficulty. I'm smiling because I understand that difficulty makes me better. That difficulty develops character. That difficulty develops integrity. That difficulty refines and gives me intestinal and spiritual fortitude to break through the next challenge that's ahead. That everything I go through that's difficult is just building me up for the battle ahead. I built for this. That's why I don't get shaken by difficulty. That's why I don't allow unbelief to linger in my world. That's why I am able to face every difficult moment and deal with delay. Because I'm built for this. Now, what my goal is to teach other people and to get people to believe that they're built for this. No, I'm not talking about a life of ease. I'm not talking about a life of no responsibility. I'm not talking about a life of not being able, of not having to be accountable to oneself, to others that you are responsible for, to doing that which you were designed to do. I'm talking about actually being very accountable to your design, to your gifting that was given to you by the Almighty, the grand designer, the grand creator. I'm talking about being very responsible and holding dear to your responsibility, to that which you have been given charge. So when I'm talking about saying, hey, look, I'm here for a purpose. I'm not here to linger. I'm not here to meander through the maze of mediocrity. I'm not here to sit around and pander with dwarfed visions and colorless dreams and minimized and diminished goals. I'm here to set goals that are exceptional, extraordinary, and beyond the measure of mediocrity. I'm here to set goals that others will think of as impossible so that I can demonstrate there's no such thing. I am that person that's here to show other people what it's like to live life at the level of your design. I am that person that refuses to acknowledge that I cannot do something. If I can believe it, if I can conceive it, I can believe it. If I believe it, I can set in motion those things that are necessary to have it. Those are the elements or components that's necessary for success, to accomplish things that other people think are impossible. Is first to conceive it in your mind, then to convince your subconscious that you can have it. Your subconscious will communicate to your spirit. Your spirit will take it in and internalize it. When you come up against the negative forces of circumstance and situation, your spirit will acknowledge it, interpret it, and declare that it disagrees with it to the point that it overrules it. It does not mean that your situation, your circumstances aren't real. It means that your circumstances and your situations are not bigger than your vision. It's not bigger than your purpose. It's not bigger than your dream. It has no power to stop you from reaching your destiny. That's what it means. It means that your destiny is bigger than your moment. And so when you get to your moment, no matter how bad it is, your moment does not have the power and the magnitude to override your destiny. So you always keep your destiny in mind. Your destiny is the fulfillment of your purpose. Your purpose is associated with your design, your gifting, and your genius. It is why you are here. Most people are living unfulfilled lives because they're not living in their passion. They're not living in their purpose. They're not living in that place that was designed for them. They have this burning and this yearning inside, and they're doing other things. I'm going to start to close this out with a question. There's a study that shows that people who have lived unfulfilling lives that are mediocre, lives that abound in comfort and what is considered to be safety. That the vast majority of people live in that place. But when a person who is living in that place is told that they have 3 to 6 months to live, it's almost like 80 to 90% of those people shed the shackles of fear, shed the shackles of complacency, and they become tenacious in going after life and living life in its fullest. And they are living life and going after and getting everything they could have been getting their entire life. But they realize that life is coming to an end, and it's short. It's just around the end is just around the corner, and they've decided that they're going after it, and they're going to close this game out by living. Well, let me introduce you to a reality. While those people have been told by their doctors that they have 3 to 6 months to live because of some terminal illness, the reality is you could die today. There's no guarantee that you will see tomorrow, much less 3 to 6 months down the line. Just because you've received no prognosis of death from a doctor doesn't mean that it's not waiting on you around the corner. And yet, you're stuck in this place of comfort, complacency, and low living. Afraid to step out and go and get the things that life has for you. You better live life. You better live it to the fullest, because it's not something that's promised. Take the moments that you have and invest yourself in every moment, because that's what I love about the life that I live. The life that I live is bigger than me. It transcends me, and it transcends my time here on earth. When I invest in every moment, when I take serious every second, all 86,400 in a day that I have, those that I sleep are invested in rejuvenation. Those that I'm awake are constantly being engaged in ways that will help me be better at what I do so that I can be effective in my purpose. I'm engaging every second. Why? Because if I engage it right, I'm building a legacy. And even after I breathe my last breath, if I've built a legacy, that legacy will speak for me long after I'm gone. It'll tell people that I was here and I made a difference, that I touched lives, that I empowered people, that I left the world in a better place than I found it, that I walked and lived in my purpose, that I carried audacious faith, that I refused to be broke down, cut down, stay and stomped down by life. I kept getting up and dusting myself off. I kept going for the win. I aimed for the fence every time. That's what this is about. Making use of what you have. Understanding that it's not promised to you. Treat it with value. Give it the value it deserves. Don't waste a second. Get in beast mode and go after what you think is yours in life. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to make some wrong choices and some wrong decisions. That's a part of life. But let your motives be to help others, to build others up, to be a blessing and a gift to others. Let your motive be good. And even the bad decisions you make will turn out to be life lessons learned that build you and prepare you for the next engagement, the next endeavor. It's amazing when you find the perspective in life that allows your failures to be victories. That's a good feeling, to be in a place where you have taken the gift given to you by the Creator and decided to activate it rather than sit on it, decided to push fear to the side, decided to activate it and then put it in use. And your motive is clean. So even the mistakes that you make turn out to be victories because you're living life on purpose and you're going after something to make the world a better place, to touch lives, to encourage people to walk in their gifts. That's what life is about. It's about giving of yourself to someone else, letting the energy that's created by your benevolence feed you. Letting the energy that's created by your desire to touch lives come back to you. The law of reciprocity is real. What you sow, you reap. You can't continuously sow goodness and benevolence and generosity and it not return. Stop fretting about what it is that you want and need. Activate your gift and live in it, and nothing can be withheld from you. Stop operating in fear. Fear, when you did, I forget who said it, but it says that you have to travel to the core of fear. And when you travel to the core of fear, what you realize is that your fear is just the level of a bunch of fears fearing itself. Think about it for a while. You feared things for so long that you've built these layers of different fears, and now your fear has become this self-sustained energy that's actually just simply fearing itself. Release it. Understand that if you're here on this planet and you're still breathing, you're here for a reason. There's none that were created to be mediocre, none that were created to be average, none that were created to hide in the dark corner of comfort. You're built for it. Everything that you face in life, you are built for it. Stand up and face it. You've got to acknowledge that whether you engage life or not, you're going to get knocked down. Whether you engage life or not, you're going to get squeezed by discomfort and hardships. Nobody circumvents the vicissitudes and struggles of life. If you're going to have to engage them anywhere, you might as well rise up and go after it. You might as well go get what life has for you. You might as well live your life to the fullest, because remember, while those people who were given the prognosis of 3 to 6 months got a chance to go out and live life in the last days, you're not promised tomorrow. You're not promised next week. You're not promised next month. You need to activate your gift and get after it now. No Donald Trump, no Hillary Clinton, no Putin. Nobody can squeeze you and take away your gift. That gift was given to you by the grand creator. It's bigger than any circumstance or situation in this world. I remember the last words spoken in public by Dr. King. And I squeeze and I take a little bit. I'm going to extract this one sentence. It says, "I'm not fearing any man. I'm not fearing any man. My purpose is bigger than any man. My purpose is bigger than any situation, any circumstance that I'm going to face in this life. My purpose and my destiny is bigger than me. And if I should be taken away from this life, living in my purpose, it was my destiny. But no one will be able to say that I didn't attack life with a ferocity and a passion that was unrelenting. And I didn't press inexorably towards my destiny. 86,400 seconds in a day. I spend 7 hours of it rejuvenating myself in sleep. And I spend the other 17 getting it. I encourage you to do the same. As I say all the time, I'm going to die on E. I'm not leaving anything that's been implanted in me by my creator undone. I'm not carrying one idea to the grave unactualized. I refuse to live life in a place where I take my value to the grave with me. I can't remember who is the original person who said this, but Les Brown says it all the time. The graveyard is the most wealthiest place in the world, because at the graveyard you'll find unactualized ideas and dreams and visions, inventions, books that were never written, businesses that were never started. Don't be one of those people that to take your value and your potential to the grave with you. Rest on E. Enter into that transition on E, having done all you can do while here. I love you guys. Have a great day. Peace.